GPS is a black woman. 3D imaging is a black woman. Laser eye surgery is a black woman. Escalators a black inventor. Elevators a black inventor. The roller coaster is Granville T. Woods. Roller coaster, everything.
Internet, the cell phone.
The cell phone. I was just watching the thing on the cell phone. Our video games is Jerry Lawson in Silicon Valley. They try not to mention him, but he's the reason why we have Xbox, Atari. He did the first, before Atari, the F1 series. Jerry Lawson, a black dude who invented home videos, sanitary napkins. It's a woman. Our ADT, our security system, is a black woman in Queens, Mary Van Brighton. In 1966, she invented the home security. You're talking about open heart surgery, Daniel Hale. Plasma, Charles Drew. We can keep going. Surgical equipment, black people inventing, just constantly inventing, and they took everything and lied. But now things are coming into the light with all these black inventors. And black people are still thriving. Black women have the highest degrees in America. Highest degrees in America. These are the same women that were operated on with no anesthesia on their vaginas by that Dr. Mims guy who they just took down his statue in New York. These are black slave girls raped, but they're number one in academics. Black people invented hockey in 1895 in Nova Scotia, 22 years before the NHL. There's a book called Black Ice. You can see it. The atrocities that African Americans have been through, I'm surprised we are this peaceful. They used to make black people laugh in barrels in certain towns because they were too loud. So they go, you got to laugh in the barrel. Everybody around the world copies African Americans.
Hello and good evening and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. My goodness, we thought today we'd celebrate a little bit more of the Black experience and let America know that what you experience has been done at a lot of the hands of talented, smart, excellent people of color.
Well, Black history is the American history.
Right, this is true. And then
we are intertwined,
right?
And Joffrey, the comedian, said this on one of his podcasts. You know, I don't know if he said it, but I'm just going to say it however he said it. But you know, the experiment of us being here is very special to the fact that because of our severe ties with Africa. And because of the culture and us having to relearn certain customs and having to to fix the American cuisine, you have to think about it. Macaroni, who was even making that? Right. But Thomas Jefferson's slave, who was Sally Hemings' brother, John Hemings. I think that was his name, John Hemings or James Hemings. The thing about whole cakes, pancakes. The first president had his slaves cook that. And to this day, we eat pancakes, which was called whole cakes, were cornbread cakes. Mm-hmm. Stuff of that nature. Jazz, where did that come from? Bluegrass country, where did that come from? That came from the slaves who were making noises and sounds in those slave cabins. Mm-hmm. That is our American songbook. That is our American roots. Coming musically, artistically, when it comes down to inventions, when you think about the cotton gin, mm-hmm. Cotton gin.
That's what he just talked about, all of those scenarios.
So it's just the fact that our existence in this country, it is so prevalent to the beginning of let's just say this. It was the blueprint that built this country. Everything.
Probably better said the evolution.
The evolution, yes. Mm-hmm. Even when you think about Washington, D.C., Benjamin Banneker, mm-hmm. How did Washington, D.C. was ever built? How the man, the French guy, I don't know his name, who was supposed to build it, did not know the land. Let's go into it. I know I'm into my history, but that is that's the truth behind the truth.
It is really.
Hey, whether you believe it or not.
Well, it is. But anyway, so good evening, Charles. How are you, my brother?
I'm good.
Good to see
Charles,
you.
how
Good to see you. Looking all sharp and being Atlanta's best kept other secret now because you done moved on a little bit. So you somebody else's secret right now, but that's all right. That is all good. Want to say happy Veterans Day, number one to you, especially first of all because you are president in front of us and your service to this country, and what you have invested, in time and all that. And hopefully, we will find a minute to chisel out and let you share with the audience tonight about what your experiences were and becoming that and what you are yet experiencing. Do's and don'ts of a veteran. So it can be out there, and that America that watches and all around the world that watches us, that they understand the need for more support for our veterans. It's just not enough, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So just please support us. Welcome to season 6. Support us on your platforms. Please, your platforms of TTBT show on Venmo and on Cash App as well. The information is right on your screen. You can always send us emails. Please do that. TTBTTshow@gmail. All right. We would love to hear from you. And we have a text line available now, not answering calls, but you can text the number 213-358-5553. If you have a text question immediately that can't necessarily get on screen, we will try to address that for you as well. But do put your comments in because we want to see them. Whatever platform you're looking at us, and I think most of you are probably looking on my page. Those of you that are on YouTube, you know how to go about doing it, and on and so forth. Some are on the Truth Behind the Authentic Truth page, so you're out there, and some are on X. So exit in. Exit in. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dig in. And I'm glad you elaborated on the inventors of Black America. And it made me very proud when I saw that particular clip, was to mention it because a lot of us don't know. And we had a discussion in our meeting last night about what people don't know. A lot of us don't know. Either we've been wrapped up in so many other things, which we'll get into tonight, that we forego knowledge to the community and being able to build that self-worth into the community. We did talk about that in our meeting last night. Where is the self-worth that we should be operating in? And this is not, and let me say this for our diverse audience, okay? The reason why, we bring, because there's a lot of, you may understand your culture a little bit more than the African-American experience, okay? And that's fine. You've been taught that, but there are a lot of people in the Black African-American experience that don't know, even with that video that I just put up. So this is, from time to time, we will elaborate on that to bring more knowledge to a community that they can go and share light to a group of young people. I've got a grandson that I'm educating on this information that had no clue, about what goes on or what has happened as a representation of a person of color in America. And you elaborated so greatly on that. So, but anyway, from time to time, we'll venture off and kind of try to harness ourselves back in for the educational piece of people that don't really move in a better place for their life. All right. So anyway, Charles has a word for the night about what the topic of our show tonight is, and then we'll get into everything from there. All right, Charles, you got it, brother.
I got where did it come from? The show is called Capitulation.
Okay, and you broke down capitulation last night for us. I think you did.
Oh, you wanted me to give you the definition?
Yeah, give you the definition. Yeah, because a lot of people don't know what capitulating means, so we want to make sure that they know. Go ahead.
Okay, well, let's go to it. It's to cease to resist an opponent or an unwelcome demand, surrender. So in other words, when something happens, you have to you step back, you fall back, and you kind of let it take over. Even though you didn't want it to, you give it that existence.
Okay.
Well, we do that when we don't vote.
Okay. Good.
We do that when we don't.
Absolutely good one. So, where everything is, I think in the state of the country right now, there was a lot of capitulation that's been going on. I kind of make it funny. I was saying you're gonna beat your bitulation later on, because the decisions that have been made is just horrendous right now. Yeah. That they have. So we're gonna dive into one video real quick that I think I call her our girl, but she really let the Dems have it the other night. Then we got one from
8 Democrats capitulated to the Republicans this week. 8
Democrats
capitulated to the Republicans.
No, it's more like you don't act like a bitch for the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
8 people. 8 Democrats.
8 people, right.
8.
Exactly. Here she goes.
I hate the Democrats. And I'm sure you heard the news. I have consistently found the Democratic Party to be weak, performative, and essentially GOP light. And they proved that again yesterday when 8 Democrats sided with Republicans, giving up our health care for a vote. You're not going to get a vote. So that they could reopen government. And I'm going to tell you what I think happened. Let me first read these motherfuckers, these slimy snakes' names. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto from Nevada, Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, Senator John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, Senator Maggie Hassan from New Hampshire, Senator Tim Kaine from Virginia, Senator Angus King from Maine, Senator Jackie Rosen from Nevada, Senator Jean Shaheen from New Hampshire, none of whom are up for re-election in the midterms. 6 of whom are over the age of 65. Remember what happened last Tuesday? How the American people showed that we're ready to fight, that we're ready for a new system of politics, that we're not taking what the GOP is giving us or what establishment Dems are doing. And Nancy Pelosi immediately announced her retirement. These bitches know that they're on their way out. So they sold us to the highest bidder because I would bet if we can look in their accounts, their big corporate donors said, hey, it's Christmas season. We need people out spending money. We need you to do that for us because we just lost healthcare for millions of Americans. Because what the GOP is trying to do, and then Senator Tim Kaine's like, I want to protect federal workers' jobs. Dude, they are going to fire federal workers. You know how we know that? Because they wrote it, edited it, and published it in a novella called Project 2025 that they have been executing since the second they got in office. They will find a way to fire federal workers because they have said that their intention is to fill the federal government with loyalists and then privatize the federal government. They are gutting healthcare, gutting public schools. Why? So that when it stops working because it doesn't have funding, they can privatize and profit off of it and decide who gets to have an education, who gets to go to the doctor, and who makes the most money. Let me be so abundantly clear that the top 1% in the United States control 31% of the economy. In the best economy that the U.S. has ever had from 1948 to 1972, where you could buy a house on a single income, they controlled 8%. They now control 31%. The top 10% in the U.S. control 67% of the economy, and it is still not enough. They are building a ballroom in our face while people starve. They have shown they are willing to starve people to have their way, and you think they're going to play nice with you and give you a vote? Are you stupid? Don't let them take Tuesday away from us. Do not buy into these corporations. I'm joining Jolly on this. Do not spend a dime on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Tell them no. I'm doing Christmas differently this year in Nashville. We're doing gift swaps with used items people need. We're using thrift stores, local artisans. I'm organizing community potlucks. We're organizing an adult dance so that we get to enjoy Christmas without selling our fucking soul to corporations and Democrats who know they're on their way out. And so they sold us out for one more payday. Establishment Democrats are also responsible for where we are. Let's hold them accountable.
Thank you. Well said. Go ahead.
You know what? And let me add to this, to what she had to say. What makes you think now that the government is open that a lot of people are going to get their SNAP benefits or the WIC? You know, in these times right now, you're going to have to pick a side. To be a centrist, that is not going to happen. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'm sorry. To be in the center and to want things to be a kumbaya situation, you're going to have to pick a side. And if you're from MAGA, fine. Hey, at least you chose a side. Now it's time for the progressives and whoever. It's time. It's time. It's just now. It's not a luxury to say, well, we can't do this because no, because the other side has put their flag down. And I'm sorry, the Democrats, I've been saying it since the beginning and before. Just the fact that before the election, we had conversations based on their PR. They have no great PR, nor do they have what you would call a group unification. What they did in the Senate was just shiesty. They went over Chuck Schumer, who is their leader. They didn't even go to the leader. They went over the leader to do this. So there's no leader in all of this. Chuck Schumer, he's out. Done. Chuck Schumer, you need to just pack your little hefty bags and go. I don't care how many years of being in service. It's done because you're weak. And those 8 are weak. And the Democrats, If you want to save face, you better start standing up. Senate and Congress. And you need to put the scarlet letter on those 8. I'm done. Go, Charles. I'm done. I want to say more, but I'm done.
I can't really, as they say, put into words how I feel, but one thing's for sure, we're not going to get anywhere because we got and I'm going to say it on the broadcast, we got a lot of coon-ass niggas that want to feel like, why we worried about Democrats because we've been serving them for so long and are basically capitulating to the Democrats, when in essence, there's nothing being offered to us by the Republicans or the right wing. I don't understand how you can dog the people that actually help you versus the people who don't give you squat. Trump is set up there in front of one of the prime ministers and he couldn't see him. He's sitting across the table. He's going, where he at? And he's sitting right there in front of him across the table. He couldn't even see him. But yet we talked about Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden. He need to give it up and go. Trump can't even talk. Even with a teleprompter, he can't read it. He said anybody can read a teleprompter. He talked about Obama. And the only reason he's a good speaker is because he read a teleprompter. You can't even read a teleprompter. So I don't understand what this is. And it used to be him saying that only way we could get past a shutdown is for the president to take control of the negotiations. As soon as we had a shutdown, what Trump said, I don't have no control over that. There's nothing I can do. But yet, and every other president, he had something to say. But when it's him, there's nothing to be said.
He had something to say when Obama didn't invade Libya and their oil. Obama wasn't a great president because he didn't go over into Libya and get the oil. That's go Jay. I'm done. I'm off of it. I'm done.
Well, I have to just concur with both of you. I was hoping that they would hold out and get the things that need to be addressed.
Typical.
And I was very painful, for those that were not being gainfully employed, with the process of that, the government being shut down. But see, that could have been a twofold situation. See, you could have taken care of the people that were and got your debate going on, and rather than using people's lives to have your debate over at the end of the day. This is a debate that should have never cost anybody's pocket, their food stamps, and everything else. It should have never been. And it should have already been settled months ago about all of these things that were going on. So, but they're too busy part of them trying to be up Trump's behind, and then they're trying to be up their own behind and not getting anything done, which on both parties, they're not getting anything. The thing about the Republicans is that the only reason they get things done is because they got somebody that supports their agenda. Democrats don't have anybody to support their agenda, but they won't fight for the agenda. And then also coming off the fact that what happened, the blue wave, the blue ocean, or whatever they want to call it, that hit America last week, at this time, it was last week this time, wasn't it? 4th was last week this time, and not capitalizing on that, not broadcasting on that, not hitting every Democratic and red state with some sort of PR information. You got enough money. Hello. You got enough money. You're right. You're retired, so give up half your salary that you're retired for and put it into the fund, whatever that the case may be. And not capitalizing on all of those opportunities to really get the blue message out there like you need. So what it basically sounds to me, and I'm gonna wrap it up with this because we got to go on. The situation when it comes down to these retirees, they know that they didn't have anything to lose. They know they're not going to have anything to lose. So therefore, they go out and they create this panacea vote that they've done, and they're out of office. So they don't have to deal with all of the things that are out there anymore once they're gone. And you look at it from that was a very selfish move. It was a very selfish move on their behalf. But anyway, y'all seen it. Pay attention to it, please. And move forward.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh.
Yeah, please.
Don't mock either, because your time is coming. All of our time is coming.
Well, not that sense.
No, stop. Our time is coming. I'm saying that as a warning to those who want to sit there and mock the fact that people ain't got SNAP, WIC, and then premiums are going to go up, and the Democrats can't do shit. You can laugh, but your time is coming. I'm just gonna keep that one going. Let's keep it pushing.
In order to fund billion. Last night, 8 Democrats voted to invoke cloture. the first step towards ending the Republican government shutdown. In regular times, this show of performative pragmatism might be heralded, but these are not regular times. America is undergoing an authoritarian overthrow. This is a battle between the type of government we have, a democracy that responds to the needs of the people, or the government they want, a tyrannical consolidation of power where Americans are pawns to be sacrificed. Republicans have been very clear. They will starve children, the elderly, and the disabled in order to fund billionaire tax breaks. They will risk millions of families going without health care rather than extend a tax credit for one more year. This isn't about politics. This is about power. Yesterday's decision tells the GOP enough, cruel enough, and patient enough, we will give up. Their fear isn't the Affordable Care Act. It is that this is a program that shows how democracy can deliver. They saw the same elections we saw, and they saw that people are hungry for better, that affordability isn't a buzzword, it is a demand. And so in this moment, we must fight where our leaders will not. Health insurance isn't a luxury, and their willingness to strip it from us is wrong. And we have to believe that we are entitled to right. We can mobilize our neighbors to overwhelm all of the electeds who are not doing what we need to have them do. Now it's time for them to do the right thing and just fix it. I'm asking you to post or screenshot your premium hike, but please cover up your personal information and then tag your members of Congress. Use the hashtag #JustFixIt. Let's flood their inboxes and their mailboxes with our stories. We have to keep up the pressure. This isn't going away, but we must show them that neither are we.
Let me ask you all a question. Do we still have state rights?
I assume.
Don't the states still have some control over health benefits, health insurance?
That's what Trump claimed when he was in office last time. But this is the problem with the states' rights. The federal government supersedes that. And even if you have it, it hasn't been utilized. Like in Georgia, where I'm at, they don't touch it. They've already said they don't want it. They're not going to touch anything that is against what the federal government, or rather, preferably Trump says that he wants. So they, even though they have the ability, they won't touch it. There are states who need that Medicaid or Medicare, and they won't touch it because they're red states, they're Republican led, and they won't touch it because they feel like we don't need it. There's no sense in, as a lot of people believe, help the illegal immigrants have medical treatment, which is not true, but everybody seems to believe. I got people that call me all through the week going, "Oh, yes, they do. I know Mexicans and Puerto Ricans, they get welfare and get." I was like, "No, you don't." "Yes, I do. Yes, I do. They showed me." And I was like, "Man, I hate to tell you this, but that's not true. But if it is true, blame it on the government because they just decreased the number of agents to go out and police that and just make sure that works. You've cut down the size of enforcement. How do you expect it to operate properly? People are going to bend the rules and go around it any way they can if you have no one there to enforce it. There's no teeth. It's like the courts. When they tell Trump not to do something, they have no teeth. They can't bite when he goes against them. And they go, "You need to stop doing that." He don't care what you say. He's going to do what he want to do because you can't make him. You don't have the teeth to enforce those laws that you're actually, or those decisions that you're making toward what he's doing.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I feel bad for Fetterman and all of these people.
I don't feel bad for Fetterman because Fetterman's a dummy anyway.
I'm just being sarcastic, and I don't.
He lost his brain when he had that stroke. He's still a knucklehead. He can't even think straight.
I don't care too much for him anyway. But you know one thing I'm going to feel bad about is that when these premiums do go up, I know them over there going to be shouting and screaming and hollering if they have not yet. Because
the red states that's going to be affected the most.
They opened it up because of the federal workers losing their pensions and all this other stuff because they have already lost their jobs. There is no, they can't come back. They can't come back. So, but the SNAP programs and all that stuff, they've opened that up for them as well, which puts in perspective that it ain't only Black people and Hispanics on SNAPs and WICs. No.
They want you to believe that.
Put that out there because the big thing is Black folks and Hispanics, they utilize that. We don't. But you see out there, they opened it up because about 90% of Pennsylvania uses it.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you might think you're going to get that, but wait until your premiums go up. So what are they going to tell their constituents then when it happens?
Democrats did it.
Come to the table. I'm going Mike. Is it Mike Johnson?
Yeah. Weasel Mike.
He just said that he is not going to. There is no conversation, and there is not going to be a vote. I don't know what's going to happen. Hey, I don't.
Well, you know, it's a big mystery. I think it's a big mystery for all of us at this particular point in time. You know, and as what's that old cliche saying? Expect the best, but prepare for the worst.
Because all hell gonna break loose.
You know, well, yeah.
It's gonna break loose.
Well,
that's what I'm saying. Ain't no expected. It's already happening.
Right.
End of that wait and see. It's already happening.
Right. Well, you know, my motto when we started out season 6, it was simply, you know, I'm gonna do the Celia approach. I'm gonna tuck behind the steps and then sit back and see what the wall gonna look like. Because every day is some other kind of shit being thrown at the wall, you know, in one way or the other, and nobody's addressing it. No, they're not addressing it. They're not addressing it. To answer your point about states, this is why I would say California is a great state to be in. It ain't the perfect state at all, but at the end of the day, it is a better state. We do have our own healthcare system. So even if you got moved out, California does have CalMed. So therefore, everybody in the state of California can have health insurance, you know. So that's a great thing, you know, for our state
of Alabama. All you have is Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
But that's not a state funded. It's not state funded.
That's all you can get in certain states.
Right.
It's Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They ain't no other unless.
Well, again, unless the state takes on state funding. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and that's a whole other conversation right there. Why they won't do that, you know?
Truth behind the truth.
We have another quick moment here from another person that was experiencing the surprise of what she had been paying for her prescription. Just a little quick note we wanted to share with you and what people are experiencing.
Is one example as to why health insurance in America is a scam. So I went to the pharmacy the other day to get a refill on a prescription that I've been prescribed for years. I've had the same health insurance for the past at least 5 years, so literally nothing has changed. I usually pay about $20 for this prescription when I go get it refilled, and like I said, it's been like that for years. Well, this time she rang me up and she looked at it kind of funny, and I looked at the total and it said $124. So she said, "This can't be right." And I said, "Well, I hope it's not right." So she messed with it for a little bit and then came to the conclusion that it was correct, and that's just what my health insurance decides to charge now for what used to be a $20 medication. So I was about to just say, forget it. You know, I don't want it. It's not a life-saving medication. Screw it. But she was like, "Okay, hold on. Let me give you what it would cost you to self-pay instead of filing through your insurance." I was like, "All right, cool. How much will that be?" And she said, $16. $16. My insurance was about to make me pay $124. They thought they were going to make me pay that. $124 for a medication that I've been paying $20 for at least the past 5 years. And she's going to tell me that if I don't file through my insurance, then it's only going to be $16. What? How does this make any sense to anyone in this country? It doesn't make sense to anyone else in any other country on this earth. So how does it make sense to anyone in this country that's...
How does it make sense?
How does it make sense? I mean, she goes on to say, it's a little bit longer in her video, but she goes on to say, I mean, that it's all a scam. Healthcare is a scam, you know, and the pharmaceutical companies are a scam, you know, and she, in terms of the prices and all that, because, you know, they know I was having a conversation with our neighbor prior to our show, you know, and she works in healthcare, you know, and she brought some things to light about, you know, that situation. And I know, you know, and I brought it to the fact, I didn't I mentioned in earlier shows, but I got I'm with the Permanente. I can't promote them, disclose them, but anyway, I'm with the Permanente. All right, so you got to know from there. But anyway, I got a letter when it was about a month ago about when it's renewal time that my prescription costs were going up, and I'm like, and I said to you, I said, how do they even know that my prescriptions are going up? Because if somebody had not already told them or put that already out there or put that in the system, they would have never approached me like that. So that indicates to me that what we're experiencing was already planned, and it has seeped out, or either these healthcare companies are just getting you prepared for what's going to happen. What they already knew, what was already in the pipeline.
Oh yeah.
So I'm a bit shocked at that, because you think, on one side of your brain that you pay for this, and it's this way, but at the same time, they're going right behind your back, stab you in the back. Even on the
There's no safe space. I'm a disabled veteran, and people think because of that I get VA benefits, but they fail to realize the VA is 5 to 10 years behind today's medicine. They don't do the latest medicines because it's not in their system. They go for what's cheap, not what works or what's efficient. They go for what's cheap. Then you have to remember, I'm 64 years old, so that means I have to be, because of the law, be enrolled in Medicare when I turn 65. If I don't, I will be penalized for life, not just for a couple of months. For life, I will be penalized for not enrolling in Medicare. But the crazy part about that is, being a disabled vet, I'm automatic. I just found out today, after 2 months of doing webinars on the Medicare system, trying to understand how it works and where I fit in. Turns out they automatically throw me in there because I'm a vet. They know if I want to or cannot afford, it's boom, you're enrolled. So now I'm trying to figure out, okay, so now I'm enrolled. How much do I pay? Turns out I'm going to have to pay over $100 a month. But now, because of some new law, they're going to say that if I pay it, they'll reimburse me some of my money at the end of the year. Well, why make me pay if you're going to give it back to me, or some of it back to me? It makes no sense. It's so convoluted that it'll make your head spin.
I completely agree. I mean, and it's just, the pipeline of this is just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. But one thing we can say, and you can make a point, we're in a time of exposure. I don't care where it is. Things are just getting exposed. Now, whether we have the control that's happening in exposure is a whole nother conversation. But it is. The government stuff is being exposed. Trump's being exposed. Oh, did I say that name? Sorry. I normally don't say it in conversation, but anyway, being exposed, the preachers being exposed, family members being exposed, all of this exposure is happening.
Dr. Umar being exposed.
What did you say?
Dr. Umar being exposed.
Okay. What's his name? Stephen A. Smith being exposed.
His forehead. That's about it.
I know, right? That's true exposure right there. What's the other guy on that? Shannon Sharp got exposed.
Yes.
Buckley exposed. We're in a time of exposure. And if you're not recognizing, and let me say this real quick, you make your point. If you've done something, okay, we're taking off all of this. If you've done something, you better clean that shit up, all right? Because you may not want to get exposed, preachers. But anyway, go ahead.
Hey, Pat Williams called it earlier this year with Shannon Sharp, and he didn't listen. Shannon Sharp didn't listen. But what's so funny? You talking about exposure. Did y'all see what Trump put on True Social about Obama? And Obama
that lie about he's being reimbursed. Yeah. That's another thing. Nobody battles him or talks smack about him lying, but they'll jump on everybody else about lying. Let's say a Democrat, but they'll jump on them. And I could tell
nobody has not came out and refuted that, but Jake Tapper from CNN. With his little, Obama didn't do that type of refute. It was not no big, let's talk about this. Let's get it out there so the American people won't be misconstrued or be misinformed by our own president. And that's a big lie. But the saddest thing about this situation is the fact that this exposure, being exposed, is really showing that society. I don't care how you put it. You don't need to be upholding systems and customs and things and people. You know what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
You don't need to be upholding certain things because you're going to get your feelings hurt.
Yeah.
A lot of these people ain't up to no good. But at the end of the day, I ain't wishing harm on these people or wishing all types of negativity, but you need to understand that we all in this thing called life, we are doing things that we won't want anybody or nobody to know about. And you got to be expecting stuff like this to come out. I wouldn't be surprised if we even hear about certain things about when it boils down to certain pastors, which we already talked, you missed that old TD Jakes. I mean, you thought he was exposed this year, but you will be surprised.
You had to close the camera on that one, huh, Charles?
You will be surprised. I'm just saying. I mean, there's so much going on right now. I'm not surprised.
No, I'm not either. I mean,
I'm never surprised. I'm just like, well, hey, it's out.
Yeah, I mean,
it's out.
Well, there's an old saying that it kind of pinpoints back into a scripture that says, "What's done in the dark will be brought to the light." And so, is it in your dark moments of what you're allowing to occur, what you're allowing to happen? At the end of the day, and somehow in the human perspective, or I will say in the human flesh, thinks that when you're in that moment, that nobody will ever find out.
That's right. Well, we found that with Marvin Wine.
Well, and it's so unfortunate that we think that way, but here's the thing. It's about that innate spiritual control that we have over ourselves. Yeah. Okay. Not over somebody else, but then that goes into power and other type of things with that. Mm-hmm. And our next video is going to elaborate on that a little bit more. But, when we start teaching people the truth, which we do, the truth behind the truth, you find the exposures of all of these things that you've been believing systems, believing customs, what mama and them said and daddy them said, and my Caucasian family said, my black family said, and and also that, and then from our religious institutions and what they have said, which they should have never said, to us, at the end of the day, but they did. And they have bamboozled the thought patterns of humanity. Okay, church-wide. I can't just put it on the black church. Okay, at the end of the day, because it's just church in general. I mean, even going back to the Catholic behavior, even though have the separation of the Protestant and Protestant from the Catholicism, it all has been a product of power and wealth. Okay, and if you don't know it, you'll know it as of this point. If you're listening, the greatest institution of the most power is the Catholic organization. Okay, they own the world. Okay, they own the world. Okay, if you've never been to Rome, which I have, which he's going at some point, if you've never been to the Vatican, you understand the Vatican is a city. Okay, it was declared as a city by itself. All right, but I'm going to get into that. That's a whole other history lesson. We don't have to get into that. But I'm going to play this other clip real quick, and we're going to move right on.
You tell people God is beyond form, beyond understanding, beyond comprehension, and yet divinity was clear enough for you to give it a pronoun, a face, and a race? Funny how when power names God, God just so happens to look like the ones in power, which is why the world has never prayed to the same heaven without going to war. Notice the pattern. Where the temples and the churches are the tallest, the graves are the deepest. Where they are preaching God the loudest, someone is being silenced. Notice the holiest nations always have the biggest armies. Religion has always been the divide of civilizations. Politics is just a cover-up. One tells you who God is, the other one tells you who the enemy is. You look close enough, all these denominations wouldn't exist if what I was saying wasn't true. They don't want God to be known. They want God to be owned. And that's where the war starts. Christianity, one God, one Bible, hundreds of denominations. If it were truly about God, unity would have been the natural result. Islam, one God, one prophet, one Quran. Yet Sunni and Shia have been killing each other for centuries. It was never about God. It was all about who gets to speak in God's name. Judaism, chosen people, chosen territory, but chosen by who? The moment God becomes a possession, territory becomes holy. And holy is negotiated at the end of a sword. Catholics, Protestants, one Christ, one cross, yet the church split in half. The divide of the throne of control of the power behind the altar. At this point, the pattern speaks for itself. The moment faith needs a symbol or a form, it has entered into the territory of manipulation. But let me give you perspective. Welcome to the class of critical thinking. Since the divine is truly infinite, it cannot be owned, claimed, represented, or assigned. So class, what does this mean? No temple, no book, no institution has the authority to stand between you and what is already within you. It's clear. Once you condition a belief, belief becomes identity. Identity forms groups. Groups form civilizations, and civilizations defend themselves, not from threat, but from difference. So you tell me, if every denomination claims God is love, then why is love the one thing they have never agreed on?
It's the only thing. There's just too little love.
And this government shutdown has really showed that. But we have had conversations based on what he was just saying. You hear in conversations sometimes when it boils down to sports. I prayed that my team would win. I prayed that I prayed for this president. I pray that God has a covering over my president, or over my pastor, or over this person, over that person. And you say to yourself, why? God should have a covering over everybody. But then it's always this scenario that my God is holier than your God, when it boils down to certain denominations or certain customs or certain things. You sit back and you have to think, like, what? So are we serving the same God here?
No.
But to be honest with you, we were never serving the same God. And I can go back to us as when we were let's just say separate but equal. When we all went to different churches and churches were being bombed, you think about this. When black churches were being bombed, were we serving the same God then? And that's something to think about. And it's just those things you have to sit back and you have to think to yourself. This right here is what's really the issue. We would never get on one accord, because we all want to believe that one is superior over the other. And that is the issue with society, whether you're poor or you're rich. God has a covering over the rich because they are more powerful than the poor. And I hate to say it like that, but that is the truth. That's what they teach us. You see it in your mega churches too. Right, go ahead, Charles, I'm done.
Well, all I'm going to say is I'm sorry, but not sorry. I'm tired of being told to get on my knees. And that just bothers me to the core of my soul. Every time something happens, get on your knees. I'm tired of getting on my knees. We can fill truckloads full of prayers and nothing to change. We prayed for 400 years to get out of slavery. Prayer's not what got us out of it. We spend too much time on our knees begging for something that we should stand up for. Because in Chicago, we always say either stand up for something or get ran over. And that's just how things are working.
Right. We're sending prayers and condolences, and they never hit where they need to hit. We can't even keep the guns out of schools. We can't keep violence off the street. We can't even keep our president or any of our government
too busy praying and not being active.
And they're not hitting. It's not hitting.
And it's just been a miss, and scripture says that when you I can't remember right now, but the Paul quotes that when you pray a miss. Men always pray and not faint, but when you do pray, you're praying a miss, meaning that you don't know what to pray about. Okay, you're going up asking for all the wrong stuff at the end of the day, but it was in the ranks of that. We've been taught to not be a part of what we're talking about. It's always out here rather than being in here. Okay, the prayer starts within here, if that's needed, and that prayer is going to conditionalize you to make change in your neighborhood. Your prayer is going to condition you to get out on the battlefield in your community and not allow SNAP to be taken away and people are not being fed. Okay, the prayer within you is going to be the things that's going to institute change that we've been talking about to pull out, this show at the end of the point. So if you're not praying within, then nothing is going to come without. At the end of the day, it has to come with action. Huh?
Yeah, faith without work is just a dream.
Absolutely, faith without works is dead. I'm gonna throw an organization under the bus right now because it's November. All right, and these are all alleged, y'all. All right, but there is a big convention, unless it was canceled, going on right now in Memphis, Tennessee, and all the drama that Memphis has got going on right now with the state situation that's going on within the ranks of Tennessee. Church of God in Christ have their annual convocation going on right now. All right, they're walking down them aisles with them sequin hats on and them all of avant-garde. Okay, and I don't mean God, but avant-garde in terms of fashion, at the end of the day, or holy fashion. And you got hundreds of people that descend on this every year. But my question is what point of this, out of all that money that these people are going to be giving, what portion are they going to be giving to these people right there in Memphis? Let's just say Memphis, all right? You know, what portion of that are they going to go out and feed these people? What trucks have you got already organized with food going into these communities? But you walking down the aisle with that hat on, you're in a microphone hollering about the gay people, you know, and all of those are unnecessary things. And rather than teaching a group of people, like you got thousands of people right there that you can change the way things are going right now. If you change their mindset so their mind can change, so their heart can change. And the love that's needed, like you talked about in the beginning of the video, can happen. But anyway, I've said my soapbox about that. You know, I wasn't going to say it, but I said, you know what, let me bring it out there. Like we say, exposed, I'm going to expose it. So I'm going to expose something that's really great right quick now. We're going to do a shift. You know, I admire this young lady, and you know, you guys have known earlier on, and with Island and I and Charles, that we really embrace the idea of what Wicked had brought to humanity right now. You know, it's really funny that a fictional story that's the backdrop of one of the greatest fictional stories that have been, because it tells about the accountability of oneself. You know, that accountability is coming through The Wizard of Oz. The story of Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz is about her own accountability. Okay, you watch it and you find yourself in the accountability but that story goes on a little bit more deeper, which those of you that haven't seen Wicked, I encourage you to see it. Okay, Wicked for Good is be out the 21st of this month, and they're starting their their promotional tour and things like that. They had a great vision of that, of the songs that was on NBC the other night. But I'm going to elaborate Cynthia Erivo. She has really been like on the catalyst of this character of Elphaba, all right, and how the Elphaba character represents so many people in their lives if you pay attention to it. Not the witch, but the story behind it, all right? But anyway, she was giving a little speech, and this little young girl came up to her and during the speech, and she just really opened up how this actually changed her life from depression and suicide. Wow. Okay, hold on. This is it real quick here.
Oh. Apa ya?
It's emotional. It is very emotional, to be honest with you. In these times, you know, social media, I won't put too much blame on it, but it's so prevalent in everybody's lives right now. You know, children at this age, you don't know what's going on in the minds of children right now, right? Because they're not living in times that we were living in. Right. It's too much pressure. Just the fact that this girl was going through depression and almost on the verge of suicide at the age of 12. You know how many people in their 30s are just going through, are not only in their 30s, but 20s and 40s and 50s who are going through on hard times. And a 12-year-old is mentally going through depression. Wow. And you would say what the parents are doing, what's going on in the house.
Right.
But then it ain't no telling what the child might be going through at school.
Right.
It ain't no telling what the child is watching on her phone or on TV. We don't know what's going on right now. But you know what's so sad is the fact that the people will use these types of moments to taint through some type of agenda. Right. Yeah. That this right here is saving lives.
Yes, it is.
And it's coming through and through a movie that is worth going to see. When we saw the first half of it, and it is inspirational. It's talking about how somebody as Elphaba is so different from the rest of the people that she had to deal with, and she had to find the love from within herself. She had to find the ability and the strength to get over the oppression that she was dealing with because of her color. And it's hard in real life to even do for other people. Yeah. But it's just the fact that this right here is inspiring. And yes, that right there, that's an emotional situation, a moment. And I hope that she grows from this. I hope everybody grows from this, because don't get me wrong, I go through it. And it's not easy. It's a dark cloud that comes over you just randomly some days where you're just sitting there, you're like, God, I don't feel good mentally, and I know something's not right. But then you find it in your way to get out of it. I now go to the gym. I try to get out of the apartment. I try to do what is necessary to make myself sane. But at the end of the day, it takes work. And I'm going to leave it right there. Charles, say what you want to say.
No, I think that I deal with PTS, so I understand, and clinical depression, so I understand what you're saying. I think that in these days we're all searching for answers and some sort of energy or a vibration to uplift us, when a lot of times there are none. And in society today, everything has such a dark cloud over it, or such a negative tinge to it, that it's hard to find happiness or even a smile from what you see every day.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to try to and I'm a firm believer in therapy, and I really believe that our mental wellness is our strength. If we can't keep that together, we're not going to survive.
You're right. Absolutely. This is why I wanted to, share this clip. And the thing that we discussed in our meeting is that one of our focuses on this show is to inspire you, those that watch religiously, that term, frequently, and those of you that take the opportunity to share. And we hope that you start sharing more, than what you have been. It's our hope, that you are inspired, that you look at yourself, look at for what you're going through as an individual, and not be the type of person, they're just talking about, politics, they're just talking about this, or they talk about too much about religion. Every show, I promise you, if you go back over 6 years, you could find yourself in every show that we've put ourselves out here to, because that's our commitment to you. Is to uplift you, is to help you find yourself, to help you to find your Elphabas, in your life, so that you can, as a person, defy gravity and rise above every circumstance that you face. It may not be that you're green, as the story says, or whatever it could be, but there is something in your life that you have to rise above each and every day. It could be your own mindset. It could be your own mental capacity of not seeing yourself as worthy. That's a point where you need to defy gravity. You need, if it's not loving yourself enough, you need to defy gravity and not loving yourself and rise to the point that you do love yourself. It could be your defying gravity, not knowing that you are the greatest gift that this planet, that our Creator has put on this planet for a great purpose. It could be all of those things. but it is about lifting you up. And we have tried, and we're going to continue to make sure that we put information out here for you to find yourself and lift yourself up. Last point, and we're gonna end and just say, I wanted to speak to those that criticized Cynthia Erivo. Okay, number one, about who she is as a person. Okay, and what she has represented, and when she was here during the Jesus Christ Superstar. All you stupid ass evangelicals that made those comments, look at this video. Okay, that is what WWJD. This is what Jesus would do. Okay, so keep your damn mouth off people that you have no idea about what their spirit is doing for humanity. This young lady got down and had a time with this beautiful young lady to help save her life. That's something that WWJD. Okay, that's what Jesus would do. All right. Anyway, let me go on. I'm about to go on a tangent.
Well, I also want to add this to those people who want to say, well, talking about your mental illness or being depressed, their notion to that is playing the victim. All you do is you just being a victim. You're putting this victim thing over you, and you need to rise up. You know what? I wish a lot of us had your strength. But you got to remind yourself that everybody is not like you. Just because you can go through this world being sarcastic and mean and no humility, not even showing no type of consideration for humanity, that is not every goddamn body. Everybody is not like everybody. We're all unique. We all come into this world with different experiences. And I cannot stand when I watch people on social media who want to say, well, I'm what you would call an inspirational speaker. You only put down those that you feel like are underneath you or beneath you by shaming them about their clinical illnesses. And that right there is inhumane to me. Yeah, you're right. There is no humanity in that. And you're not inspirational by demeaning one's depression, one's unfortunate situations by calling them pseudo victims. I'm sorry, but I don't see you as anything but a being. You're not even human in that moment. You're just a being that is making money and wasting people's time. And that is what we're dealing with in that damn White House. A being, not a human being, but a being, and a bunch of other beings that are wasting our time and our tax-paying money. But hey, it's each his own. But I will be speaking on my depression if that would make me better and make me sane, I will tell people, yeah, I do suffer through depression. And that does not make me a victim. That makes me a victor.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Charles, you got something you want to add before we go?
No, I just say that we should pay attention to not only ourselves, but to others, because there are people out there that we think are strong and they need help also. Amen. They need someone there. Check on your strongest friends too, as well as your friends that you feel are in need.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. One thing I do want to mention, if you look at your calendar, okay, today is considered one of the perfect days because of the time and the elements that the 1111 happens. If you start paying to a lot, this is just quantum physics understanding how life and the energy flows and things like that. How can I say this? This works. Okay, and it works. We have tried to start putting it in the practice. Is that when you see 111 come up on your clock, okay, take a moment and just give out gratitude and accept ingratitude. It will change you as a being so that the energy that you are a part of will draw in the energy that you need to change your situation. But your vibration has got to change in order to change it. Okay, you can't go into it with the same mindset. You can't go into it acting exactly the same way. But a good, perfect discipline is to utilize whenever you look at your clock and it is 1111, 1111, or 111 in the afternoon. All right, take that opportunity. You can call it prayer if you want to call it prayer. Okay, but it's not prayer. All right, it's an opportunity for you to center yourself and be a part of the energy that comes to you in that perfect time of alignment. Perfect time of alignment. And we're in a day of perfect alignment right now because it's 11/11. All right. And I know going out this day that somebody's life has changed. Okay. Let us know if you're in Africa, wherever, because we know we go all over the world. We may not be big in the US, but trust me, on our ratings, we go all over the world. So we're touching people's lives, and I'm grateful for that. All right. I'm grateful for you that take the time out every week to be here with us. All right. But remember, 1111. Let that be your mission for not just the coming week, but from now for the rest of your being on this planet. And you find if you change your vibration, you'll be able to change everything else that goes on in your life. Because you'll attract what comes out of you at any point. All right, guys, thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm sure you got inspired from that, and I'm promoting it now. 21st, go see Wicked for Good. Okay, if you haven't seen it prior to, it is available on all the streaming medias at this particular point in time. Sit down. If you're over analytical, stop. All right, stop and look at what the story is being. And if you overly religious, put it aside. Okay, because that ain't about a wish, which you think that it is, all this demonic. Stop. Okay, just stop. All right, just stop. All right. Anyway, let me shut up. I'm about to get on another tangent. All right. Love you guys. Have a powerful night. We will see you back next Tuesday, 6:30 on what? The truth behind the truth. And happy again to our veterans. Happy Veterans Day. Take care, guys.